The All Progressives Congress, also known as the APC in Taraba State, has demanded action over the prolonged absence of the Deputy Governor Aminu Abdullahi Alkali, describing Governor Kefas Agbu's statewide broadcast on the issue as mere rhetoric without concrete solution. The APC raised concerns about the constitutional implication of Alkali's absence from office since last year, citing a brazen violation of the law, as the absence exceeded the 3 months permitted by the Constitution. Well, joining me to discuss this is Artimas, is the State Publicity Secretary of the APC. I also have Bilyaminu Lukman, is a human rights and constitutional lawyer. But for now, we have Aaron. Aaron, it's great to have you. Thank you for joining News Central.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Your party used certain words, when describing the absence of the deputy governor. You called the station, the statewide broadcast of the governor, just a mere rhetoric, not addressing the core of the issue. Why is that?
Well, we believe it's rhetoric because it's like they have been dilly-dallying over this matter for now 8 months. As we said in our statement, the Constitution allows at least 3 months within which an elected representative of government will be away from his duties. When it was 3 months, the APC raised an alarm saying that they need to respect the Constitution that brought them into office. Since Aminu Alkali has not shown up in his place of work for 3 months, the people of Taraba are entitled to know why this is. And so we raised those issues. At first they said, well, anybody could feel sick. They moralized the issue. We agreed that everybody could feel sick. In any case, he's a member of the PDP, not APC. And we know that even if today he leaves office, a member of the APC may not be called upon to take his seat. So all we're doing is we're just talking about good conscience and governance in our state. And for the state to do the right thing. And the right thing is that if he's indisposed, he's not able to perform his duties, Tarabans who elected him to office are entitled to know what is happening to him. In fact, APC is more concerned because they need to know where the deputy governor is. He was elected to serve the state in that capacity. And there's always a representation in every level of governance. When you have a deputy governor representing a zone in the state, the people of that zone also require proper representation. But we see the script played in this state many years ago during Lambaba's era being replayed today. Because, in fact, in the case of Lambaba, they were the organizers of that script. The players of that script were fair enough to fly Lambaba all the way from United States and place him in front of a camera in Abuja. He appeared very disheveled, very disoriented, and he couldn't, in fact, say exactly what was happening around him. And since Aminu Alkali's illness, the Taraba State government or his immediate family or any other person has not brought him to speak on television. If they like, at least they can now place him on front of television so that Tarabans themselves can judge. And we're saying that we're not asking the government to dismiss him from work. We're not asking the government to unilaterally relieve him of responsibility and replace him. All we're saying that if there is sympathy for the deputy governor, the government should dialogue with his family. They should go to him. He's not far away from Jalingo, the state capital.
I'd like to come in here. I'd like to come in here. You talk about sympathy, and you say that this, in the, what I call it, with respect to the rule of law, the people of Taraba need to know exactly what is wrong with their deputy governor, and that the current administration should come out straight. But some watching would say, you know what, this feels more political than, sincere moral stance to know exactly, maybe to follow the rule of law, to even know the genuine condition of the deputy governor of the state. While some would even say he's just a deputy, he's not even the main governor. And that how much of an impact or significance is this?
So why did the Constitution make it mandatory that if you are becoming governor of state, you must have a deputy? So beginning from that point, you know that there's nobody who can be elected governor in Nigeria without a deputy, or a president without a vice president. And there's a voting process in the State Executive Council. The deputy governor is the deputy chairman of the State Executive Council. If there's a tie or his vote is needed in some key areas, how are they going to determine?
Mr. Artimas, we'll definitely come back to this conversation, but we have, of course, a breaking story right now, breaking news right now. What we understand is that the U.S. President Donald Trump and the Russian, that's President Vladimir Putin, meeting right now at Anchorage in Alaska. Of course, the images should come right there on your screen at this moment. This, of course, has to do with the summit. That's the Russian Ukrainian joint talks, which, of course, President Donald Trump did promise that one of the legacies he would like to leave behind is to end this particular war. There you can see live feed there on your screen the U.S. President Donald Trump and also Russia's President Vladimir Putin in talks, to find a lasting solution, resolution to the war between Russia and Ukraine. And of course, right now you can see on your screen they are proceeding to the venue of the meeting. You can see U.S. President there, Donald Trump, getting into his motorcade there, and also the Russian President, Vladimir Putin. You can be rest assured that News Central will follow these to the very latter and will carry you all along. But let's come back to Nigeria, where I still have Aaron Artimas, the State Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress. You are trying to make us understand, Aaron, that this is a constitution. For you, it's more about moral obligation to the people. But again, does the constitution in itself really capture scenarios like this? In case of the absence of the vice governor of the state, the deputy governor of the state, I mean, is there an explicit law that really captures his absence and what should happen next? Because for many Nigerians, he's just a deputy. He really does not have, frontline responsibilities, except maybe as delegated by the governor.
We're talking about a joint ticket. And we're saying that the Constitution did not investigate a position whereby a single person will be elected as governor without a deputy. Whatever the framers of the Constitution had in mind, they're not thinking of the immediate absence of the governor from the state or sickness or anything. They are thinking that the workload could be high. In any case, there are many, many responsibilities that a deputy governor is assigned in a state in order to ease the process of governance in those states. So the deputy governor is head of some parastatals. He's supervising some parastatals so as not to make him just sit down in his office. And like I said earlier, he is a member of the State Executive Council. Sometimes they do deliberate on budgets, on the very, very important matters where some votes are taken. In his own case, who takes the vote? Who casts the vote on his behalf in his absence? And for 8 months, and you know how busy governors are in Nigeria today, they hardly spend a week in their own states. So if the purpose of electing a deputy governor is for him to be that spare tire, they often say, let him be at home while the governor goes around the world. Just a few days ago, the governor was heard telling people that he cannot remain in a village like Jalingo and without going out to scout for foreign investors to the state. And a few months ago, he held a very high-profile investment forum in Jalingo, which means that he will have to follow up on those investment scouts that he has established. So if he's so busy scouting for investors to come to Taraba State, who will do the job at home? Even for the purpose of inaugurating boards and commissions or representing governor in local functions in Jalingo, the position of the deputy governor is very, very important because people would like to see not the secretary to government or chief of staff or any other person below that rank of deputy governor to meet them. There are many crises now going on around. There were crises in Bilyaminu. The governor was not at home. The deputy would have gone there, to show some presence.
Okay.
So those are the things. There are many functions.
Aaron, please listen. Aaron, one thing you seem to keep emphasizing in many of your submissions that you keep stating the fact that the governor wasn't at home. So I'm going to put it to you: is the governor of the state? I mean, from all that you have said, would you say is a man that is really, always in the state? Is he ever around?
No. He's a highly traveled governor. He said it himself. He said it a few days ago when he came, to answer questions concerning his constant visit outside the state.
But as an opposition in the state, I'm sorry to interrupt you. As an opposition in the state, a governor says he's highly traveled. He's meant to be the people voted for him. Is maybe meant to be at home to actually monitor and administer governance day to day. As an opposition in the state, are you comfortable with such a position by the commander-in-chief or the leader of the state?
We can't be. Now the situation has become worse with the illness or sickness of the deputy governor. If the deputy governor were around, people would not ask so many questions. They'll be contented with his presence. And of course, that he represents the governor's presence in the state. If the deputy governor were well and alive and functioning, of course, people would not worry too much about his own situation. But the fact that the governor is traveling and he is indisposed makes the whole thing worse. Sometimes the state is left in limbo without some form of governance or very serious governance. The secretary to government is left to handle all aspects of governance. That would be too much for him. And he has a limitation in what he can approve in terms of finances for other activities to go on.
All right, now, given the excuse that the governor gave for not being around, trying to woo in investors, looking at the current level of development in Taraba State in tandem with Mr. Governor's, I call it many travels, would you say they add up?
Well, we have not seen those investors up to now. In this state, in the past 2 years, there is no foreign investment going on anywhere in part of Taraba State. And I told you that about 2 months ago, a month ago, they had an investment forum here in Jalingo. They invited people from all over the world to come here. About 2 months after, there is no movement, however, or whatsoever, in terms of investors coming into the state. We are still expecting them. And now the tenure is fast elapsing. So when are these investors coming? There are no projects going on in Taraba State that came through all those travels that we are seeing. So we are not sure whether they are coming. We have not seen them. So if the investors are not coming, then of course the governor ought to stay in Jalingo and do his work, because there are a lot of monies allocated to the state and they are coming. The monthly allocation to the state has tripled. So it means that the money at the disposal of the state government can do the work that he is going around spending money to scout. So we are saying that there is even enough money in the state to continue government business and not to waste a lot of funds and time going out of the state in search of these investors.
As an opposition, if you are to score the governor, in terms of performance, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, what would you rate him?
Perhaps between 4 and 5%.
4 and 5. That's on the average.
Yeah.
That seems to be a pass mark.
Yes. Is it?
You said 4 or 5.
It should be 5. But if it is below 5, I'm sure you know what it means. We are saying it's not up to 5%. It's below average. Between 3 and 4 out of 10. Why I'm saying so? Because the governor is yet to complete 1 single kilometer of road in the state. He said it's offering free education. Well, it's good. The people have said welcome this with open hands, but the schools are not funded. No principal, either in the secondary or primary education, receives a running cost. How do they buy school equipment and materials to teach? The infrastructure in the education sector are all damaged. There is no school that's been rebuilt up to now. Only one single school in Jalingo, out of perhaps maybe over 3,000 schools. So if the schools are not rehabilitated, reconstructed, and the school equipped, so how much is the free education worth?
All right.
Because Taraba State today can tell you that.
Aaron, I'm going to come in here and interrupt you. Sorry. You said you would score the governor about 3 to 4%. You said if you are being generous at all, you might give him a 5. But that, for you, is still way below average. But in terms of education that you've been talking about, it reduced tertiary tuition fees by 50%, and also tried to make, education more accessible to residents of the state. And, some would even say introduced some sort of digital literacy and partnered with countries like Finland to boost, education funding and resources. I mean, you said he hasn't done any project, completed any project per se, but there's also the Usad General Hospital. Maybe you might even choose, I stand to be corrected, but some of these things outlined seems to be his achievements. What's your reaction, sir?
No, well, maybe these achievements are published in the papers and some books somewhere, but they're not on ground. I'm in Jalingo as I speak with you. So if you say you are declaring free education, well, highly welcomed, but then what is it worth? A lot of people send their children to private schools in Jalingo, and there are over 2,000 private schools in Jalingo charging high fees. And so if the schools are free, many people will be more happy to withdraw their children from private schools to public schools so that they can obtain school there. But if you take your child there and there are no equipment, no funding, no classrooms, and no leaky rooms and all these things, how can you as a responsible parent do that kind of thing? In Taraba, and the Taraba University is immersed in more than 3 industrial actions in the last 1 year. As we speak, there are issues with the ASU in the university because there are promises of certain salaries, emoluments that have not been fulfilled yet. And so, and Taraba State University, as it is today, is funded by fees, the school fees, even the half that he declared. Those are the ones that the university community still uses. The government does not give grants to the Taraba State University. So I don't think that there's anything worth celebrating in all this.
All right, now let's talk about your party itself, the APC. You seem to have given, severe knocks to the PDP government in Taraba State. But your party controls the central or the center, it's at the federal level. And Nigerians, to a very large extent, will tell you that, yes, in spite of the ratings, whether by, the IMF or even the NBS saying that, inflation rate has dropped and all of that, and some of these policies are, doing well. At the grassroots, there is still poverty. Cost of living is still high. People can barely get by. So, I mean, what advice would you, as an APC member, even give your party? Would you also give your party, if you had to score your party, maybe I should start by that. What would you score the APC?
Well, I want to be very, very sincere with you. I've been privileged to serve in successive governments in Taraba State. And I know also that what you call federation allocation. And every month, the commissioners of finance and others, they converge in Abuja to share revenue. And those revenues are supposed to go to the states. When I was in government last, the allocation to Taraba State was below 4 billion naira. But then Taraba was then able to pay salaries, construct roads, and provide infrastructure in education and health. At the state, Taraba State had one of the best medical facilities, the specialist hospital in the whole of Northeast, constructed by the Nambaba regime. and we had consultants everywhere. Today, the allocation to Taraba is about 10 billion naira monthly. That is aside the local government funds that are arrested by the state governors. Now, if you tell me with all this increased allocation, there are no roads, there are no new hospitals, the education is not poorly funded. Because the issue is that whether deliberate or however, in the last 2 or 3 years, the problems of this country have been fixated on the federal government doing this, doing that. But it's supposed to be a collective responsibility. I recall the president the other day talking to the governors to try to do their work and asking Nigerians to hold them responsible. If as president, you are giving your lieutenant enough money to manage the affairs of this country, somebody staying in Jalingo should not be looking at the federal government for feeding, because our monies are being sent to us in high number. So this is my own argument. In terms of funding of government, I will give this president excellent marks because he has tried. In fact, apart from monetary allocation, there are many interventions to many states around the country. The other day I was told that the governor of Bauchi received over 60 billion.
I mean, is that you talk about funding? So you seem to score the federal government high when it comes to funding of states.
To solve some key areas.
Okay.
Yeah.